Hello everyone, and thank you for watching Edupedia World videos. In this lecture, we will finish define our enterprise structure in SAP ERP system for sales and distribution module. In previous lectures, we define our sales organization. We assign our sales organization to company code. After that, we define our distribution channel and assigned distribution channel to sales organization. Next step was defining division and assigning division to a sales organization. We create sales area for combination of sales organization, distribution channel, and division. We defined our plant and assigned our plant to the combination key of sales organization and distribution channel. And now, we will define our storage location, shipping point, loading point, transportation planning point, and sales district. Setting up a storage location. A storage location in SAP represents the location of the plant where the goods are stored. The stock maintained at this level. When the goods are received, the stock at the storage location goes up in the quantity received. And when the goods are sold, the stock at the storage location is reduced according to the quantity delivered. We can define our storage location using our implementation guide. Go to SERO transaction, SAP reference IMG, enterprise structure, definition, materials management, and click on maintain storage location. Here we enter the plant for which we want to set up the storage location. Our plant is test, T-A-S-T, and press continue. Click new entries and define your storage location using up to 4-character unique identification key. We will use key 1000 and description test storage location, and we create the second storage location, test 2 storage location. After that, press enter. Select first storage location, and maintaining address data for your storage location is optional and it's generally required only if our plant is very large and the storage location has its own address within the plant. To maintain address data for our storage location, we first need to select our storage location and press addresses of storage location. We can click new entries to open the new entry screen and use number 1 and address data to maintain the address data. Name, test storage location, search item, store lock, country, US, street, Main Street, house 500, region, Texas, zip code, and city, Denver. Press continue and save. You can return and do the same for the second. Select second storage location, press addresses of storage locations, press new entries, number second, press address, test 2 storage location, Starlock 2, street, Main Street, house 700, zip code, city, country, United States, region, Texas, and press copy. Go back. Once you are done setting up a storage location, click Save. And we have successfully defined our storage location. Return. The next level in organizational structure is the shipping point. A shipping point represents the organizational entity where the deliveries are processed. Each plant needs to have at least one shipping point from where the deliveries pertaining to that plant can be processed. We cannot create and process a delivery in SAP without a shipping point. Now we will try to define our first shipping point. Go to transaction SPRO, SAP reference IMG, enterprise structure, definition, logistics execution, define, copy, delete, and check shipping point. Double click. Click on Define Shipping Point. Press New Entries to define shipping point. You see the New Entry screen. First field is shipping point. Here you provide a 4-character identification and a description for our shipping point. For example, shipping point test and description test shipping point. Location. The two fields in this section, country and departure zone. These two fields represent the departure country and departure zone location for our shipping point. Country helps in determining taxes during pricing and determine country-specific standards, such as postal code lengths, for example. Departure zone influences the delivery scheduling and also helps in route determination for deliveries being processed at the shipping point. To maintain the value in these two fields, we need to call the address maintain screen for the shipping point using address button. Enter the name, test, shipping point, search item for shipping point will be test, street and house number. Main street, house number 100, postal code, country United States, region TX. And press copy. Next section is times. Using the factory calendar and working times fields in this section of the screen, we can set up the working days and working hours for our shipping point. Factory calendar will be calendar for United States. USA. Working time. Okay, so working time, we can leave this field blank. Determine times. The fields available in this section of the screen influence the delivery scheduling for the shipping point. First field is determine loading time. This field helps determine the time taken for loading the goods. You can choose A for route dependent and B for route independent loading time determination. Choose C and SAP will pick up the loading time you defined in the loading time working days field. Or we can leave this field blank. And if we don't want the loading time to be determined. For now, we'll leave this field blank for no loading time determination. Next field, determine pick-pack time. This field helps determine the time taken to picking and packing the goods. We can choose A for route dependent, B for route independent pick-pack time determination, or we can choose C, and SAP will pick the time we defined in the pick-pack time workdays field. Or we can leave this field blank if we do not want the loading time to be determined. Now we will leave this field blank. Rounding workdays. Here we enter the safety margin for the estimated time required for processing the delivery. For now, we will leave this field blank. Next section is form text names. It's similar to the planned form text names. Address text name, letter header text, text name foot lines, text name greeting, and text name SDB sender are the fields available in this section of the screen. This is where we can enter text that appears frequently on various shipping outputs. We can maintain this text using transaction code SO10, and we'll talk about this transaction in future lectures. Print picking list. This field in this section controls the output processing for picking list. Here we define the output type, the output language, message language field, the number of times we want to generate output, number of messages field, the timing for sending the output, send time field, and the medium in which we want to send the output such as print or fax, transmission medium field. We will explain this process later in the next lecture, in one of our next lectures. For now we can choose output time. Second list, message language, English. Number of messages, blank. Send time, send with predicately scheduled job. Transmission medium, print output, and subsystem leave blank. Background processing. Selecting this checkbox will help us display information messages in addition to error messages in the delivery due list processing log. Others section. Pick confirmation. The pick confirmation field in the section controls the picking confirmation's applicability for a shipping point. We can select A if we want to make confirmation compulsory for all the items processed via this shipping point. This is applicable only where we don't use warehouse management transfer orders to perform picking. For now, we will leave this field blank. No confirmation. And now we can save our shipping point. Press continue, and data was saved. We have successfully defined our shipping point. Return to the IMG screen. Once defined, the shipping points must be assigned to plants. We can assign one shipping point to multiple plants, or one plant can have multiple shipping points. Go to Enterprise Structure, Assignment, Logistics Execution, Assign shipping point to plant. Double click. Now we need to find our plant. We can scroll down and find our test plant. It's a very long list, so we can use scroll. Scroll down at the end of the list and we see our test plant. And we see that for this plant there are no entry for the shipping point. For example, like in this entry, we have plant error 060, and for this plant we have shipping point. So now we select our test plant and press Assign button. In this list, we must find our shipping point. And our shipping point is test shipping point. Check it and press copy. Now we see the link between our test plant and our test shipping point. And press save. We successfully assign shipping point to our plant. And one more thing, in SAP we can divide a shipping point into multiple loading points. Setting up a loading point is optional, but we can try it. We can define a loading point using our customization implementation guide. Okay, so go to Enterprise Structure, Definition, Logistics Execution, Maintain Loading Point. Because loading point is a subdivision of a shipping point, the first screen you will encounter will be a dialog box asking you to enter a shipping point. Here, enter the shipping point for which we want to set up the loading points. Shipping point test. And press Continue. Press New Entries. We can provide a 2-character identifier to our shipping point, TS, and description, test loading point. We can press Enter. And now we can save it. Data was saved, so we successfully create a loading point to our shipping point. And now we can return to the SAP Easy Access screen. Next step will be setting up a transportation planning point. A transportation planning point is the organizational unit that manages transportation-related activities. The shipment documents are assigned to specific transportation planning points. We can define a transportation planning point using our implementation guide. Go to Transaction, S, P, R, O. SAP reference IMG. Enterprise structure. Definition. Logistics execution. Maintain transportation planning point. Double click. Press New Entries. Specify a 4-character long alphanumeric name like test. Specify description, test transportation planning point. Press Enter. Name test transportation planning point. Search item test. Street house number Main Street 200. postal code 95105, for example, country United States, city Denver, and region will be Texas. After we enter all necessary data, we can press copy. And now we can assign our new transportation planning point to the company code. Find our test company code P080, P080 company code, and press enter. Now we can save our changes. We have the system message: the data was saved. This means that we have successfully defining our new transportation planning point and assign the transportation planning point to our test company code. Now we can return to the SAP Easy Access screen. And now we'll talk about factory calendar. Before we define a factory calendar, there are a few technical points that we need to address while customizing. We need to always use Y or Z as a prefix for the customization settings that we make in SAP. The enterprise structure that we configured earlier was an exception to this rule. The letters Y and Z are reserved in the SAP system for customer-specific customizations. When we make changes directly to SAP provided customization object without using a Y or Z, we run the risk of our changes getting overwritten by the next SAP system upgrade. All the customization settings that we will discuss in the remainder of our lectures will follow this rule. Customization changes in SAP are of two kinds: client-dependent and client-independent. A client-dependent settings is specific to the SAP instance we are customizing. A client-independent setting is independent of the current instance we are working with. A client-independent settings affects all the instances of SAP that are installed on one system. We need to always take extra precautions when we configure a client-independent settings, because it will have a global impact across SAP clients. In SAP, a factory calendar helps us define the number of working days for our enterprise organization. We can set up our factory calendar going to SPRO transaction, SAP reference IMG, SAP NetWeaver, General Settings, Maintain Calendar. As you can see, you can use this customization screen to define factory calendars and holidays calendars in SAP. Calendars are part of the global setting in SAP and are used by many areas in the logistics and human resource applications in SAP. Setting up a calendar in SAP is client-independent settings, and the changes to the calendars are not automatically captured in a transport request. We have to manually capture these changes into a transport request for moving them between various instances of our SAP system. So now we can select Factory Calendar and press Display. Now we see the list of all factory calendars. We can find United States Factory Calendar. We can double click on it, and we can see here our Factory Calendar ID, validation dates, year from and year to, special rules. In our calendar it's not exist, it's empty. Factory date start, and we see work days. In our factory calendar, all days of the week is working days. We can later change these settings, but for now we will leave all of these without changes and just go back. Once we have done with all the customization related to enterprise structure setup, we should perform a consistency check in the SAP system to check whether the customization settings are correct in all respects. We can perform the consistency check using transaction code OVX8N, or we can use our SPRO transaction to follow IMG path. SAP reference IMG, enterprise structure, consistency check enterprise structure for sales and distribution. Double click. And here we see various checks that are performed by SAP when we run this consistency check for SD. For example, for sales organizations we have these checks like check whether addresses exist, check whether company code are assigned, check whether master record conversions maintained, check whether sales areas are created, plans assigned, text exists in the logon language. For distribution channels we check whether master records conversion exists, sales areas are created, text exists in the logon language. For division we check master record conversions that exist, sales areas are created, and text exists in the logon language. For sales offices we check if sales organizations are assigned, addresses exist, texts exist in the logon language. For sales groups we check whether sales offices are assigned, and text exists in the logon language. For shipping points we check whether all plans are assigned, check whether shipping points are assigned, check whether addresses exist, and if texts exist in the logon language. For plans we check whether addresses exist and are complete, check whether storage locations available. We can check some of these checkboxes, but it is strongly recommended to use always all checkboxes on for all of these checks. After we check all necessary settings, we can press Execute button. And don't forget about Deselect All and Select All. I will say one more time that I strongly recommend you to always select all entries when you check for customized organization consistency. Press Execute. System will check settings for all company codes, for all plants and all sales organization. And in this list, if we don't find our company codes, our plants, our distribution channels, and all elements of our organizational structure, this means that it's okay. So, for example, in plants, we don't see our test plant. In sales organization, we don't see our test sales organization. So our new organizational structure is correct. We can go back to the main screen. In this lecture, I showed you how to set up an enterprise structure in SAP Sales and Distribution module. I explained you the various elements of an enterprise structure, their use, and their arrangement in the structure. We created sales organization. We assigned our sales organization to the company code. We define our distribution channels and assign them to our sales organization. We define divisions and assign them to sales organization. We create sales area for our combination key of sales organization, distribution channel, and division. We defined plant and assign plant to company code. And after that we assigned our sales organization and distribution channel to plant. We defined storage location and assigned that storage location to plant. We create shipping point and assign that shipping point to plant. We define loading point. We define our transportation planning point and assign that transportation planning point to company code. We create sales offices and assign that sales offices to our sales organization. After that, we define sales groups and assign sales groups to sales offices and talk about sales districts. So now we have successfully created an organizational structure of our enterprise in SAP ERP system. Thank you for watching Edupedia World videos.